I'm Terri Malek.
And I'm Tredway, and we're inviting you to co-create with us.
From our home base in North Central Texas.
We're hosting conversations that nourish our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual intelligence.
We are about being spiritually physical.
And physically spiritual.
We are about inspiration.
And aspiration.
We are about involution.
And evolution. We're about self-exploration
and self-excavation. We are about each of us coming to know ourselves in our fullness and wholeness,
so that together we serve the expansion of human consciousness
with the gifts of our specific genius.
Welcome to 33 North, 96 West. Okay, greetings Terri, and welcome. And welcome to all of you who may be tuning in for this, our first episode of 33 North, 96 West. This is a very exciting time for you and I, Terri, and I am giddy and appreciate the opportunity to start this exciting adventure with you.
Indeed.
So, in order to kind of set the scene, establish the tone of what we're going to do with this series, we've had about an hour and a half pre-conversation here to develop the strategies, but we really don't know exactly how it's going to come out. Where we're going to start is I'm going to set up and explain like what has led us to this point. Does that sound good?
That sounds wonderful.
So for all of you listening, flashback in your memory to summer 2020 and think about everything you had going on in the summer of 2020 and everything we had going on collectively that summer. In my personal experience, I was nearing the end of a 7-year cycle of intense self-exploration, learning through different modalities, from spiritual to psychological to scientific, everything I could get my hands on. And those 7 years were the result of some pretty profound and what I'm going to say, peak mystical spiritual experiences that I'd had around age 30. I'm starting to give my age away, which is fine. And so in the summer of 2020, as the world around us and outside of me seemed to be in turmoil and conflict and all of this strangeness was going on, inside, as a result of the experiences that I'd had and what I'd learned, I was having a very different experience. So outside, lots of turmoil, confusion. Inside, peace. And there's just this really profound contrast. And as a result of that, obviously in my daily experiences, I as much as possible would share and try to be of service to the people around me. But I started to ask myself a question, like, what role am I going to play in these times that we're living in and in the times ahead? And I got the impulse to think about doing a podcast series maybe, or a YouTube series, or some way to get a different message out there than the ones that we're commonly offered. You know, when you turn on the news, what kind of information are you getting? And what's the tone of the information that you're getting? And so for Christmas in 2020, I asked for a podcast mic, and I got one, and I started playing around with it. But I soon realized that I needed to have someone to have a conversation with. And so my creative juices started flowing, and I tuned into my higher self in the cosmos and asked the question, who can I chat with? And Terri, your name came to mind. So I'd met you a few years ago when you had the Epiphysis Center, and we had some pretty profound conversations. And as a result of that early interaction, I knew that you and I were kind of tuned into the same energy. And I thought, I wonder if Terri would have some conversations with me. Now, at that point, you had taken up a new lifestyle and you were traveling around the country. So I didn't know how you would receive my approach or my invitation. And I really didn't know exactly what I was asking. So here's what I did. I made like an introductory video to kind of illustrate an idea. And I filmed myself, and I thought about some branding for it, which was 33 North, 96 West. And those are the latitude and longitudinal coordinates of where we are here at Sherman Denison in North Texas. And I think I expressed like the idea is that through conversations, we kind of demonstrate a way of being, thinking, and understanding about our experience. And the conversations serve to help us all kind of raise our vibration. I've been having a hard time with that word lately. Vibration. Okay, so I put the video together and I sent it off, and I'm like, I don't know if she's going to go for it. I don't know. So I'll hand the mic over to you. You get this invitation from this guy you haven't seen in a while. How did you receive it?
What a wonderful lead-in and presentation with the question. Because a little backstory on that is probably 2 or 3 days. I don't know the exact time frame, but it was in a very short time frame. Somebody asked me if I had seen you or talked to you in a while. Your name came up, and I said, gosh, no, I've been thinking, I haven't really seen or heard from him in a while. Of course, that's the universe putting me in that alignment to receive what was to come. And I just thought, maybe I'll reach out, see how he's doing. And that just, life happens. And very shortly after, I know it was within the same week, I received this email invitation from Jared, and I absolutely loved the way the presentation was done. I loved that it was in video form, and what he had written and spoke about what the channel was to be about, even when neither one of us knew at that time by any means how this was going to evolve. But just the words and the energy and his voice and his presentation, everything about it really spoke to me, and it got me very excited. And I don't really, let's see how I say this. I've had several proposals, if you will, about maybe collaboration over the years, and some I definitely stepped into and some I did not. But I had never had something that I felt was presented in such a manner that completely aligned with who I am. And that really spoke to me. So it actually, brought some emotion up in me, excitability, resonance. And so I showed it to my husband, and I didn't tell him anything about what it is. I said, I really want you to watch this, and I want to get your take on it, because he knows me so well. And I know myself so well, but it's still nice to have that sounding board sometimes from somebody that really gets you. And so he watched it, and he turns his head at me. We're sitting on the couch together, and he looks at me and he says, "You're going to do this, aren't you?" He just knew that there was this spark in me, and, he could also feel my energy. And so I probably watched it at least, 7, 8 times. I just kept playing it over. I was like, wow. So I decided I'm going to sleep on it, but I knew that there was going to be something come of this. And whether it was going to be a couple of episodes, whether it was going to be a collaboration beyond that, which we didn't know until we got together and spoke about it and let it evolve as it would. But it was very exciting to be so excited about it. It came to me in the late spring of 2021. And I happen to be here in the North Texas area. I'm only here a couple times a year right now with my lifestyle. And I was really in the midst of busy, if you will. I was seeing clients. I was teaching classes. I was also working part-time, volunteering at Hagerman Wildlife Refuge, actually, here in the area. So I had all these things going on, as well as seeing friends and family and catching up while we were here in town. And it came through, and yet there was not a single doubt or question in my mind about, let's get started.
We really didn't know at that time, and we still don't know exactly what all this can become or what we intend for it to be. But we did know that it was something that we both resonated with, and it was a strong yes, and it was something that we were investing our energy in together, but that was bigger and broader than either of us separately, right? It was just like that total resonance. So the general idea, as I expressed, is that you have a lot of knowledge and information from your background and your study. I have a lot of knowledge and information from my background and my study. The idea is that by coming together, we're kind of creating a conversation and an environment, and anyone who tunes in is a part of this collaborative process. It's a part of the 33 North 96 West field, but we're doing it from this location, broadcasting it to the outside world, and then we're bringing inspired, high vibe information from the outside world to this location through the channel. And the idea is, again, to represent an honest, from our perspective, honest, authentic, uplifting, positive voice in these times of change.
This morning, when reflecting upon what I might speak to today and what we might speak about, something that has continued consistently come forth is for me to talk just a little bit about what I am today, and not go into any long story, or I do feel there will be definitely introduction time where we will each introduce who we are and parts of our journey. And I think that's really going to be a powerful experience. But today I felt really guided. And when I say to speak to what I am today, I say what instead of who. But usually when I am working with clients or teaching, I say, all of who and what you are. That's a phrase I use, all of who and what you are. And I know that I am a multi-dimensional being. And to expand upon that, meaning that I am connected into multiple dimensions of consciousness at one time. And I'm not in a journey to aspire to reach, quote, a next level of consciousness. I am expanding. So that's just to use my language. I am always expanding into various levels of consciousness and awareness and frequencies and the vibrations that go with that bring, me to who I am and what I am. And I don't separate the two. There's not a what and a who. It is all one. But it being the true essence, the true blueprint and essence of who and what I am, as opposed to a created identity. And that's been one of the biggest aspects of my journey, is stepping fully, wholly, completely into who and what I am. My message to the world is to be thyself, know thyself, and then to expand upon that, embrace yourself, love yourself, and really reveal who and what that is. And I feel that we have that, maybe word it differently, so to speak, or speak to our journey differently, but I feel we both really strongly have that message to the world that we just want you to be in your authenticity. And so in our journey of even coming together to do this, we are also doing the same. How authentic can we be? Maybe there are aspects to have conversation about, to move through in order for it to be presented in the podcast, so that we are showing up as that, who and what we are authentically. And so I just wanted to speak to that because it just feels like such a beautiful coming together of our individual journeys, what's going on in the collective, and all that is in between. It's not a separation of, let me just talk about my journey and speak to A through Z, steps A through Z or whatever, and you talk about yours, it is a collective of bringing the essence of who and what each of us are to this channel. And I was just kind of feeling into, is there something else about that? It's not, I do want to say one more thing on that and expand, is that we all are this. We all are.
Yes.
I'm not saying Terri is separate from Jared and et cetera to the community. Is we all have this ability. We all have this capacity. We all are it. We are all multidimensional beings who have the capacity to bring into our conscious awareness all of who and what we are, and the continued possibilities and probabilities that brings in. It's not a destination you get to and you get it and then you are done. It is an evolution. And that's another thing that was really included in your proposal, talking about exploration, excavation, the involution and evolution of us and all of that. And so again, that's another part of really what brought me here today, and having these beautiful conversations with you, is that I'll speak for me personally. I really do want that message delivered in everything that I do and say, and every choice I make, and every action I take every day, is to be fully authentic and to empower and inspire you to do the same.
I love that, Terri. And I'm gonna dovetail off of that and say, I have been in the past in a place where I thought I was being authentic. With more learning, I realize I can look back now and say that I wasn't. But of course, I didn't know that at the time. And what I've come to know about myself is that I'm designed to be different. And some of the kind of available typical modalities and systems that we have for self-learning wouldn't have guided me to discovering the truth and the wholeness and the fullness of who I am. I had to go way outside the box in order to really discover myself. And as our conversations continue, a lot of that will be revealed. But part of the reason I'm saying all that is to say I'm confident, I'm fully aware in my knowing that every single human being is very specific. Your spiritual path is very unique. It's specific to you. It is your privilege in a lifetime to embark on your specific journey and uncover and discover your truth. And while you are the only one who can do this work for yourself, it can be really great to have others support, to hear conversations that support you in that, or that offer you insight and fodder for contemplation. And so that's what this is going to be. And I'm saying all that to say, the conversations we have on 33 North, 96 West, and they're not all going to be just about spiritual stuff. It's going to be about life in general, but through the lens of understanding ourselves as spiritual beings having a human experience. There's no doctrine here. There's no suggestion that any of the paths or modalities or any of the information that we share is the right one for you. But it might inspire you to find something else that's the right one for you. Or maybe you become a guest on the show, or maybe, like, we really don't have any specific offering other than individual self-discovery, self-expression, self-awareness. I think in our intro we said self-excavation. That really is what we intend to express. And I'm going to also say, we want to talk about I'm going to use the word responsibility. I don't mean that in a heavy way, but like how you are responsible for the environment around us, like what you bring to situations, how you invest your time and your energy in support of the evolution of our culture, our society, our species. This all sounds like really big and heavy, but it's about shifting a paradigm, if you will, and understanding the nature of our experience in a little bit different way from what many of us have been used to.
Because we all have our own design and blueprint, unique to us, we also really develop our own language that we speak as well as that we resonate with, and that can expand. Talking about the multi dimensions of consciousness, you can expand your languages, your understanding, your bringing in more modalities, more concepts, all of that to continue to allow you to know more of who you are. And I think these are all really powerful. For me, in my journey, it's been important to explore that beyond, one or two languages, if you will, one or two modalities. So when I am in a conversation, something may come through many different ways for me to say it so that it can be expressed, received, if you will, expressed and received in more than one energetic expression for more than one different, or a variety of blueprints, if you will, and to the essence that you are. We are all source, and we are a collective, but we each have our own individual aspect of source. As source. That's how I'm going to say it. As source.
In plurality. That's what I've been saying lately.
Yeah.
The energy of the creator, the creative life force energy of the universe, source energy, whatever term feels right for you, that energy is manifest in plurality as each of us and as all things, really.
Yeah. Yes. And phrase that comes to me a lot is both and. Maybe in earlier stages of my life or different chapters, if you will, or different principles and concepts that I might be exploring, I might have looked more at life as this or that. And now it's very much both and. So I am an individual with my own divine essence and blueprint that came here to be that in form.
Thank you.
Yes, I came here to be that, not to be Jared, but to be Terri. I came here to be that, all of who and what that is, and express that, know that, honor that, express that, and do the same for others. And so, yes, I'm part of the whole of Source. And I'm also an individual. So a phrase that came to me very strongly a few years ago is uniting in sovereignty. We each have our own individuality, our sovereignty, our truth, but we unite in the wholeness of that all being, the plurality, of that all being source, God, creator, spirit, the universe. These are words that you might find resonance with one over the other. They all resonate for me because it all is both and. But all of these words, all of these phrases speak strongly to me that I am that and that is me.
And one may make a choice to tune into the idea of the unity of everyone, or one may make a choice to remain focused on the idea of separation. And I want to bring that dynamic into the conversation. For the purposes of our chat, I have no judgment to offer to anyone in society, anyone on the planet. I don't really think I have the capacity to judge. But we have a lot of there are a lot of voices out there that are speaking about the differences between people and accentuating separation and focusing on concepts that are separation, that are in separation. And I think what you and I intend to represent is a voice in the opposition of that. We want to highlight the things that bring us together. And from the perspective of unity, this is big. There is no exclusion. Otherwise, it wouldn't be unity. Like, unity has to include everybody and everything, even those among us who are focused in separation. It's all part of the grand equation.
Yes. Division is of separateness consciousness. And I am not judging the space of separateness consciousness, because we are a dualistic being. We are form and formlessness. We are spiritual and physical. And to me, again, it's both and all is. I am to be sitting around, an example I've used a little bit lately because I've had this experience more so lately, but sitting around a campfire or a fire pit with friends, even strangers, if that be the case, and just having the experience of that and the conversation without there being a particular topic or energy that I've determined to bring to the space or not bring to the space. It's being in the moment and the experience of it, whether I'm doing that, whether I am preparing a meal or eating a meal, whether I am driving, navigating with GPS, or whether I am immersed fully in nature, in the forest, my definitely where I'm in my element the most, in a meditation for an hour, speaking chants or prayers or decrees. It doesn't matter to me at this point in my journey, because there is no judgment of any of that. There is no separation of any of that. It all is sacred. It's all a sacred experience. And that felt called to be spoken in this kind of laying the foundation, if you will, for the channel and for our conversations, because to kind of expand, for lack of a better phrase right now, in what you were saying, is that my entire work and my entire journey is not to focus on any division or separation, not to ignore it, not to avoid it, and not to judge it, not to think that it's less than, because again, for me, there is no judgment of any of that. It's just be authentically who and what you are in any given moment. It doesn't matter what it's about. So if that means you need to have the emotion of being angry, have the emotion of being angry.
Yes.
Now, you don't have to live there. You don't have to choose to stay there. You can transcend out of that when you're ready. But if you need to cry, you need to be angry, you need to be completely elated, full of joy and ecstatic. You need to be dancing in the aisles at the grocery store. Been there, done that. Whatever it is. I've probably been in the grocery store and cried too. I've probably had quite a range of emotions being around energies. But point being is that to me is what this is about. It's not about telling you what's right or wrong, because for me, there is no right or wrong. It's not telling you about what is light and what is dark, because for me, there is no light and there is no dark. Now, that phrase can be a whole nother
There's an episode
right there, because it all is and yet it's not. It's both and, okay? But I use that example because I see every day, I see and hear comments and posts about the light is going to win, the light is going to win, the light is going to win. That will be a different topic of conversation in future episodes to kind of expand really what is meant by that. But where I'm going with in this particular time and moment in time is that it's not one is good and one is bad. I'm not here to create separation and say, if I have the perspective, and I'll go even further with very basic words, opinion or belief that you are anything different than what I choose for me to resonate with, I'm not going to create division. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to allow you to be who and what you are
and honor
in
that.
any given moment, and I'm going to honor you.
Yeah.
And but I'm also going to honor me first and foremost. In other words, I'm not going to necessarily participate in that, but I'm not going to also have a judgment of it and try to teach you my ways. I just feel it's sometimes hard to put into words in such a succinct summary, if you will, because this channel is opening up really very broad, expansive possibilities of conversation.
Yes.
And one word can stem, probably 10 episodes. So, but I just felt called to share that this isn't to exclude. This isn't to necessarily say, here's my language, adopt it. It is to try to introduce a vast array of languages, perspectives. Can I say that life for me is about light? Yes. Because anything that moves from the subconscious and unconscious into my conscious awareness, into the dimensions of consciousness that I have enveloped and embodied, then yes, that is light. I have become in the light of that, in the knowing of that. So is it to say that I love everybody and everything for me is all about love? Absolutely, it is for me. But again, I'm not separating a different perspective or view, but that is me. I am love. I am light. I am divine. I am divine essence. And I could go on and on with the affirmations of what I am. And I see that in everybody.
Totally. So you've hit on some really important points and some profound stuff. And I'd like to add that, and actually I'm going to use some astrological language. This astrological language may come up often in our series when it's appropriate. So I have my Chiron, which is the energy of the wounded healer, conjunct with my Mercury, which is communication and thinking. And I have some wounding around being understood and being misunderstood and trying to find the right words to use, especially in the context of this show. Terri and I have discussed that I'm just going to accept that, and my way of healing it is to just start and just communicate. And it's like any other muscle. When you exercise it, it's going to grow and develop. So I'm saying all that to say, if you ever tune into any of this and we're adding to the noise for you, please turn us off. I don't think that's actually ever going to be true. But on a deeply personal level, like I have been the witness to the most beautiful and profound cosmic love. And my desire is, if we're talking about our broad scopes intentions for this series is, I have a really strong desire to be of service and to share that energy with everybody who is willing to open themselves up to receive it. And so that's part of what we're doing here is like, I will always have the intention that anyone who becomes a part of our field is uplifted by the experience that they have here. And part of my 7-year sort of remaking experience was to just kind of become aware of different ways of understanding, different paths that people take toward self-awareness, self-understanding, so that I felt like I was being a responsible steward of the love that I've been a witness to. and that I could be there in conversation in the field of others and guiding them toward realizing that for themselves. In terms of what listeners may be able to expect from the series going forward, like obviously this is our first episode, so we want to captivate you. And I've taken that way too seriously, I think, in our pre-production conversations. Like, what are we going to tell them? Because we are wanting this to be an organic and fluid conversation and allow it to grow and evolve as we continue. But what are some words that we can use to kind of get them hooked and keep them coming back to listening to us in future episodes?
I don't have a soul. I am a soul. I don't have a body. I am a body. And it goes from there, and it can be applied to everything, but it's summarized by it's all is both and. I know there is the phrase that you alluded to earlier. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. But I am also a human being having a spiritual experience. Yes. I am both and.
Yeah.
And there is no right or wrong. That feels really powerful for me today to emphasize that in the most vulnerable states of being human, you are also having a spiritual experience.
Yes, brilliant. Thank you. So our hope is that we are demonstrating that you can bring all the aspects of your multidimensional consciousness into each moment your body stands in. Right?
Right.
Like, how can you be the entire cosmos as you're washing the dishes?
Yeah.
Or how can you be the entire cosmos as you're sitting at the campfire?
Yeah.
Or how can you be the entire cosmos as you're having an argument with the supermarket checkout lady? Like, that's really, I mean, I spoke earlier to peak spiritual experiences, and I think they're wonderful, and I conjure them up and experience them anytime I can. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, one of the things we will intend to demonstrate in our conversations and embody and represent through the channel is that everything in manifestation, everything that is here, everything that we see is an aspect of the divine in form. And so it's not that I'm not in the mode of wanting to escape any of reality. I'm in the mode of like wanting to fully be here and be present, but bring a quality of consciousness to the moment I'm standing in.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful way to say it, a quality of consciousness to each moment, each now moment. And I was actually told, and strongly believed it for a while, and chose to adopt this belief in my spiritual journey and evolution, strongly over the last, I would say decades, more than that, but in the actual modalities of spiritual healing. I was going through some experiences related to finances and don't even remember what it was, and that's not even relevant, but just in some angst around that. And I remember somebody saying to me, who was actually a student and a client, so I should have probably tapped a little more into my own truth, but I just took it at face value because it felt good at the time. Say to me, you don't even need to worry about all that stuff because all these systems are going to crumble down the road and it's just going to be all love and light and you're not going to need to be dealing with these things, something to that effect. That's not a quote, but something, the energetic effect of, if we're spiritual beings, we don't need to face these things. And I did go through quite a period of time of thinking that. I can escape these things because I'm spiritual. And as long as I'm spiritual and as long as I am, focused on light and love, then I can bypass these things. It's almost like, as they call it nowadays, spiritual bypassing. So that is part of our journey, is we go into every experience. And when we are able to integrate and embody that into the wholeness of it all, paying bills or buying a new appliance or whatever that might be, is, to me, is just as much a spiritual opportunity as something that I might have only seen as a spiritual experience. So it's not any less than. And it's amazing the experiences we have when we see it that way, when we turn that around. And we have the most wonderful exchanges with people in the stores. We have, it's really interesting when I've written checks to people and I'll write thank you at the bottom. And I've actually had people come back and ask me, why did you say thank you for your water bill or whatever? And I tell them, because I really am grateful. I'm very grateful that I am in a space to have water at the turn of a faucet and to have an energy exchange for that experience, So it really is about perspective and how we can understand that every experience has the capacity to be a very rich one.
Well, I appreciate what you've said, Terri, but I've decided to escape to the fifth dimension, and I'm not really going to be engaging here in 3D reality any longer. I'm kidding.
I'm going to tell you that I send you so much love.
Yes, thank you.
And enjoy.
Yeah. So I've heard, I've experienced some spiritual bypassing and heard of, there are those in the New Thought spiritual community who talk about going, we're jumping to fifth dimension consciousness and even others. From where I stand, it feels best to me if I ask myself, how can I best serve my higher purpose in this present moment? It feels to me like it's best for me to understand this 3D, dense, earthly reality is the leading edge of creation. Mm. And that each of us has chosen to incarnate here at this moment in a time of tremendous change for a specific purpose. And it is the privilege of a lifetime to explore and discover and learn and figure out what that is for you in your soul's journey. Right?
I think that's beautiful. We really are here for the experience and opportunity of embodiment.
Yeah, an opportunity to be.
Yeah.
There's nothing that we're expected to do or that we have to do. It's simply an opportunity to experience, learn, choose, discern. So for those of us who have joined us for this first episode, for this explanation or loose explanation of where we think we're headed, thank you for being here and for at least initially being a part of it. I think Terri and I would both like to open ourselves up for you to post a comment on whichever platform that you're hearing this or watching this on. Let us know if there are some ideas you have for what we might talk about. Let us know how the energy of this is feeling to you. Of course, like and share. And if you want to stay tuned for future posts, please subscribe. Mm-hmm. We are definitely inviting all of you to be on this journey with us. And so, or drop us an email, like however you'd like to reach out and let us know how this is feeling with you, how it's resonating with you.
Absolutely. And I definitely want to say thank you for tuning in and would love to invite you for future conversations and episodes. you are definitely being invited to come along this journey with us because it is organic and it will continue to unfold.
So I've just had the spontaneous idea for us to have a way to close out this first episode.
Okay.
Right now, from where Terri stands in this present moment, if you could wink your eye and twitch your nose and give every human being alive a little bit of wisdom for them to know and embody, and you could say it in one sentence, what would you want everybody to know?
You are divine essence, incarnated to embody and express both form and formlessness, and share that with others.
The energy of the Creator is present in every cell of your body, in every molecule, in every atom of the universe, all the time. It can't not be.
That's fantastic.
Great way to close out this first
Absolutely.
episode. All right.
Love it.
Thank you all for joining us. We look forward to this grand adventure with you.
Hi there. Terri and I are so grateful that you joined us for this episode of 33 North, 96 West. And we wanted to extend an invitation to you. If you enjoyed this content, if you found it inspiring or provocative or at least interesting, we would appreciate it if you would hit that like button and subscribe if you want to stay tuned for future content. And above all, please share with anyone, any friends or family that you feel may benefit from being a part of these kinds of conversations. Many blessings to you and love and light on your journey, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.